Greetings, everyone. Today I want to talk about a 1989 movie called Skin Deep, which was written and directed by Blake Edwards and stars John Ritter, the late John Ritter, I'm sad to say, who, of course, we lost way too young because of a medical mishap, the way I look at it, misdiagnosis, if I understand correctly and recall rightly. But anyway, this is a movie I saw in the theaters in 1989. Hard to believe it was 36 years ago. And the reason I say that is because I remember it vividly, and I have a personal story to share about this movie. Now, on the surface, this looks like just another kind of silly comedy. It's not really all comedy, although there's lots of comedy in it, and I'm going to classify it as a comedy. Some people feel it's not at all comical, and there's certainly some, I don't know, drama in here, tragic study of a man. This is about a person named Zack, who is a very, very acclaimed writer, but recently has fallen on hard times and hasn't written in a long time and has major, major, major writer's block as he has dried up. And in addition to that, he is a hopeless womanizer. As the movie starts, his wife and his mistress both walk out on him, and he's unable to control his lust for beautiful women, and he keeps getting involved in all these women, and eventually becomes really screwed up, and also kind of a target because the victims here, after they leave him, kind of want revenge and stuff. That's the basis of it. But he also has a very acute drinking problem, and he is an alcoholic. This is about a man whose life is spiraling out of control, and he doesn't know what to do about it, and he feels lost and hopeless, and is trying to get on the right track and trying to redeem himself in a way. Now, I find that there are some humorous moments in here. The most notorious scene in here, which I don't think is as funny now as it was in 1989, involves, how do I put this? Glow in the dark condoms. That's what I'm going to say. I'm not going to say any more than that. And that is kind of unusual for the time. You have to see that to know what I'm talking about. All right. It all occurs in the dark except for the glow in the dark items. We'll leave it at that. But the scene that I think is the funniest, if we're talking about comedy, is a scene when one of his girlfriends, who he broke up with and who also sets fire to his house, winds up working in a spa with, I guess, electric current. And he goes to visit this spa and gets stuck with her, and she juices him up and kind of turns up all the knobs and kind of makes him kind of all jacked up to the point where his contortions, his spastic contortions that he does as he leaves the spa, are really the funniest. That's John Ritter at his best. You know, John Ritter was on Three's Company, and he was very funny on Three's Company. He was a very physical comedian. I always liked John Ritter, always thought he was a likable kind of guy in general, a likable performer and comic, and also did some drama stuff as well. Very sad when I heard that he died. But I want to tell you, this is not a good movie, I wouldn't say. I'd say it's pretty good. This is a movie I think it's worth watching at least once. And that's all for Ritter. I mean, it's all about John Ritter in this movie. His psychiatrist is kind of humorous. He has a psychiatrist he sees in this movie. Comes across a lot of different ladies, including one who's a bodybuilder that he winds up somehow going to bed with. There are some good scenes in here, but it's not an overly good movie. I think I enjoyed it more in 1989 than I do now. It's pretty good. It's a fine way to spend what? I can't see the time here. 100 minutes around there. You know, you can watch it, but I want to tell you my story. I said there was a personal story here. Back in 1984, I had gotten sick, we'll say. I don't know. I didn't know what it was, and I was bouncing around from doctor to doctor to doctor. And I was having problems. And I don't know. It turned out that it took 5 years to really get on the right track. And I was sort of finding my way out of the hole, trying to find out exactly what was going on and exactly how to get back to myself. Just at the time that Skin Deep was playing in the movie theater, I remember being alone at this time. I didn't have a woman in my life. And 1989, in March, I believe it was when I was going to the theater. And I used to do that. I used to go to the theater, and I'd go there by myself to a matinee or something, and I was maybe the only one in the theater. Sometimes there'd be like 10 people, 5 people. And I saw this about 3 times because for some reason I was relating to the character. Now, when I say that, number one, I was not a womanizer. I mean, if I had been given the opportunity back then, maybe more. I don't know, maybe, but no. But I don't relate to this character because he's a womanizer, and I don't relate to the character because he's an alcoholic. I don't drink. I mean, I've never been an alcoholic. I drink, maybe I have 1 beer, 1 or 2 beers a year, maybe at a barbecue on the 4th of July. But the thing is, what I related to was a man who kind of fell down and was hitting rock bottom. And that's where I had been from 1984, 85, 86, 87, 88. I had hit rock bottom. So I know what it's like to be in a ditch and trying to get your way out. So for some reason, I identified with that aspect of this movie. And I went to see the movie and felt comfortable. I felt it comforting, and it kind of like I related in a weird way to this character. Although, like I said, his vices were not at all what I was dealing with, but just the idea of trying to get yourself back, and getting help and everything. And luckily, the good part of the story is that's when I came out of it. As I say, I was just starting to find answers. I was finding the right people to help me out, the right things I could do, which at the time consisted of nothing more than a proper diet, believe it or not. Just staying off the sugar. Well, I had to do for 5 years. Nobody knew this, but I had to stay off the sugar and stay off the crap. And then I felt a lot better, and I was more myself. But it took a long time back in the 80s to figure this out because people didn't know about it and there was no internet. But anyway, I have a personal, as I say, relation to this, in a way, relationship with this movie. Having revisited it now for the first time in 36 years last night, I didn't think it was really anything as, I don't know, important to me as it was then. But I wanted to revisit it, and I wanted to own it. But anyway, that's a little story for you. Skin Deep, John Ritter.